For our invocation this morning, I offer you this poem by Adrienne Maree Brown titled A Complex Movement. Over and over again, it becomes known. The peace we seek is seeking us, the joy a full bud awaiting our attention, justice in our hands, longing to be practiced, the whole world learning from within. This thrilling note in the universe, laboratory, labyrinth. Internalized demands, you are the one you are waiting for. Externalize love, bind together us into a greater self, a complex movement, a generative abundance, an embodied evolution. Learn to be here. Critique is a seductress. Her door is always open. So what if you get some? We are going further past reform to wonder. Past reform to wonder. This requires comprehension that cannot fit in words. Out beyond our children, beyond the end of time, there is a ceaseless cycle, a fractal of sublime, and we come to create it, to soil our hands and faces, loving, loving, and loving ourselves and all our places. And she wrote that on 10/25/2012 in Detroit. Good morning, everyone. I'm the Reverend Caitlin Cotter-Koilberg, your minister of spiritual growth, and my pronouns are she, her, and hers. It's now time to light our chalice, symbol of our free faith, and reaffirm a congregational commitment. I invite you to rise in body, voice, or spirit. Please join me in the words on our screen. May this light warm our hearts with love and caring and guide us in the ways of truth. As we gather here for worship, we pledge ourselves to the endless search for truth, to the right of each to believe as mind, heart, and conscience dictate, to accept the responsibilities this freedom commands, and to implement our belief in the essential worth and dignity of every human being. And let it
is our time for all ages, so I invite our young members to come up front, and I'm going to need a volunteer today. Hand that to me. Let's see what we have in our Wonder Box. Thank you. Oh my goodness, it's from Alexis Pauline Gums of the future. So this is a letter from herself, from her to her younger self. And it says, "Dear Lexi, breathe deep, baby girl. We won. Now life, though not exactly easier, is life all the time. Not chopped down by billable minutes, not narrowed into excuses to hurt and forget each other. I'm writing to you from the future to remind you to act on your belief, to live life as a tribute to our victory and not a stifling reaction to the past. Here in the future, we have no money. We have only the resources that our capitalist phase did not plunder. But we have no scarcity. You can reassure Julia, we have plenty of technology. Technology is the brilliance of making something out of anything and making what we need out of what we had. Everybody eats. Everybody knows how to grow agriculturally, spiritually, and intellectually. No one owns anything or anybody or even uses anything like a tool. Everything is an opportunity, and we are artists singing into being with faith, compassion, confusion, breakthroughs, and support. It is on everyone's mind and heart to grow. Grow in how best to support the genius around us. How to shepherd each of us into the brilliance we have come from, even though our experience breaking each other apart through capitalism has left us with much healing to be done. We are more patient than we have ever been. And now that our time is divine and connected with everything, we have developed skills for how to recenter ourselves. We walk, we drink tea, we are still when we need to be. No one is impatient with someone else's stillness. No one feels guilty for sitting still. Everybody is always learning how to grow. Your heart sings every day because your ancestors are thrilled with themselves, AKA all of us. Just breathing is like a choir. I am proud of you for being queer. I am proud of you for staying present to the meaning of your beliefs and to the consequences of your actions, even when they were crashing into each other every day. I love you, the me that I was. But breathe this deep because this is the message. We did it. We shifted the paradigm. We rewrote the meaning of life with our living. And this is how we did it. We let go. And then we rewrote the meaning of life with our living. And then we let it go. And then we got scared again and held on. And then we let it go again. Of everything that would shackle us to sameness. Of our deeply held belief that our lives could be measured or disconnected from anything. We let go and retaught ourselves to breathe in the presence of energy that we are everything and anything. We let go and retaught ourselves to breathe in the presence of the energy that we cannot be destroyed, but only transformed and transforming everything. Breathe deep, beloved, young, and frightened self, then let go, and you will hold on. So then let it go again. With all the love in the sky, in the land, in the water, Lex. What a beautiful story. And thank you for your help, everyone.
And now it's time for Joy and Sarah. Would y'all like to go sit back with your families? Thank you for coming. And you can keep fidgeting with Shuri if you want to, or pass Shuri around. So it's now time for joys and sorrows. I invite anyone who has something precious to share to come forward and speak into the microphone. And after each person shares, please join me in saying, in every joy and sorrow, we are held in love beyond belief.
Hello. So today I do have a sorrow that I feel is important to share because so many of the situations with police brutality only become known when they are national problems. But yesterday I found out that there was a 17-year-old boy who was killed in DC. His name was Antoine Gilmore, and it's very important to say those names. So again, that would be if
Please say his name in his face.
Antoine Gilmore. Thank you so much. And please keep him and his family and all other families who have suffered this grief in your hearts.
The question was, how old am I?
May all who carry joy feel the rest of us celebrating with you. May all who have shared sorrows, griefs aloud, and those whose sorrows are too deep for words, feel held in the loving kindness of this congregation and the love that never lets any of us go. Dear ones, there is so much to grieve, and so many wrongs we long to set right, so much healing needed for each of us and for our beautiful, hurting world. In this space, each week, we breathe in love and breathe out peace. We pause here to remember how we have overcome injustice and hatred in the past, how our ancestors practiced resilience and took part in the work towards collective liberation. We pause and commit again to imagining a better world, a world centered on love with justice, plurality, generosity, interdependence, equity, and transformation for all. We pause to be present with who we are, who we have been, and who we yet can be, to let our breathing be a choir. We hold the pain of this week in our collective hearts, along with the joys, so that each of us individuals can breathe freely for a minute. We hold the promises we make as a community, knowing each of us will live into them in our own ways. We hold each other's hearts tenderly and fiercely as we work to heal ourselves and each other. Let us breathe in and breathe out as we join in a moment of quiet together, grateful for the sounds of life all around us. If you have suffered a deep loss in the last year, I invite you to stand or raise your hand during the silence so that the congregation can bear witness to your grief. At this time, we invite any of our children who'd like to go draw in chalk out in the courtyard. Let us sing them on their way.
There's a bit of a height difference between us. All right. I offer you these excerpts from Adrienne Marie Brown's speech on Afrofuturism during the hashtag Black Spring of 2015, that key moment in the Black Lives Matter movement. She said, "We tend to think and speak of Afrofuturism as the far-off future, something beyond our current comprehension and planet. But now is the only moment, and we hope things will be different in the next now, because we see something other than the normative truths of this place. We see something that is not here. We see the future cast over this devastating present moment. We see and we believe, we know, and that we bend the world to assert and embody that Black lives matter. To me, it is the heart of Afrofuturism as I choose to understand it. The concept of seeing and creating the future from a perspective that has the lineage of an African seed, of something older than Western, feels healing to me. We, of that displaced diasporic seed, who involuntarily reach back to the motherland in our dreams, have been scattered far from each other. And in spite of the odds, we've been resilient. We are touching the future, reaching out across boundaries and post-apocalyptic conditions to touch each other, to call each other out as family, as beloveds. All that you touch, you change. All that you change changes you, as Octavia Butler wrote. We are making ourselves vulnerable enough to be changed, which will, of course, change what Black existence means. What we are all up to, this changing the world willfully, is science fictional behavior, because all organizing is science fiction. Reclaiming the right to dream the future, strengthening the muscles to imagine together as Black people is revolutionary decolonizing activity. But what I'm really asking, what we all really need to be asking, what Octavia Butler was asking, is how do we know that the world needs to change and begin practicing being different? How do we have to be justice to be truly transformative? How do we need to be for Black lives to matter? What do we need to heal ourselves in order to offer a future of any real peace? To claim the future as a compelling place for our miracles. This is everything. Science fiction is not fluffy stuff. Afrofuturism is not just the coolest look that has ever existed, because it is. The future is not an escapist place to occupy. All of its inevitable results of what we do today, and the more we take in our hands, imagine it as a place of justice and pleasure, and the more the future knows we want it and that we are not letting go. So, Start this Black Spring. Start with Black Lives Matter. It is the Afro-futurist activity of this moment. Embody the concept that Black lives matter. No matter what your background is, no matter what your struggles are, let Black lives fill you up. Believe it, practice it being true.
So since Adrienne Marie Brown made that speech, which was part of a book launch actually for this book, Octavia's Brood, which is also where we got that letter from a future self, which Sydney read earlier. Thank you so much, Sydney. Right? Yeah, recommend, right? And you can also find that speech, by the way, in her Emergent Strategy book, which I super recommend, Emergent Strategy. This is something a lot of us are thinking a lot about right now. Since she made that speech, since she published these books, a lot more Afrofuturist literature has been published, especially since the release of that blockbuster film in 2018, Black Panther, right? Black Panther made the concept, yes. And there's a Shuri doll running around as well, our new Black Panther, right? Yes, there it is, fabulous. A lot more has been published because Black Panther made it new and trendy in a super way, because it helped everyone to discover that it's the coolest look that ever was, right? And then more people got on board. And a lot of people have been working intentionally to make Afrofuturism more popular. Many more people than Adrienne Marie Brown. Like last year in Oakland, California, and it's not a coincidence, right, that Black Panther, the movie, started in Oakland, California. In a downtown cafe and bakery, this amazing woman, IS Azeri, who created and runs the online bookstore Sister Sci-Fi, installed the first Sister Sci-Fi vending machine. A vending machine entirely full of Afrofuturism books for all ages, all different kinds of Afrofuturism. She is on a mission to double the number of Black and Indigenous speculative fiction writers on the New York Times bestsellers list. And she said, "The goal of this Sister Sci-Fi book vending machine is to make the discovery of Afrofuturism and Indigenous futurism books as easy as buying a candy bar." To make the discovery of Afrofuturism and Indigenous futurism as accessible as a candy bar. Right? Which is not a small thing, not a frivolous thing, not a fluffy thing, as Adrienne Marie Brown would say, in a time when book banning and similar nonsense is happening across our country, right? Have you seen the images of those empty shelves in school libraries in Florida? Right? It makes my heart hurt. It makes me rage. I can't even keep track of all of the painful nonsense being proposed, all the ways fascists are trying to limit the imagining and understanding of kids and youth and young adults in our country, to diminish how the young folk of our nation can imagine and understand themselves and their histories and their futures. This is targeted, as usual, at our queer and transgender and Black and Indigenous beloveds, but it hurts all our children. It threatens the future of all of us. So what do we do, right? That's always the question. What do we do in the face of this kind of threat, this piece of this ongoing wave of fascist violence, this denial of both history and possibility? What does it mean in 2023 to bend the world to assert and embody that Black lives matter? What do we need to heal in ourselves in order to offer a world of any real peace? As Adrienne Marie Brown asks, to claim the future as a compelling place for our miracles. I know as a white person, I am often aware that there is so much about the violence of colonialism, empire, white supremacy that I need to heal within myself, right? And in my day-to-day actions, in my choices, and that work must be an unending part of how I live my life. That's why I wear a Black Lives Matter bracelet. In fact, all the time. You'll notice that I'm always wearing it. This is for me, to remind myself what I want to center in my life, how I want to be vulnerable, what I am seeking to heal and overcome. To remind myself that it is worth all the awkwardness and failures and mistakes, that I want to be part of the healing, of the bending of the world for my children and for all children, for our children, right? To be part of the great awakening, the great turning, as Joanna Macy calls it, towards sustainability and equity and pluralism, generosity and interdependence and transformation and justice, those proposed UU values we've been talking and making art about. That's my tiny plug for the art exhibit thing happening next month. This sort of possible future that Alexis Pauline Gomes wrote about to her future self in this book, that letter she wrote from her future self. So the other question, right? The question that Afrofuturism, I think in particular, is asking, is transformation possible? Is healing possible? Afrofuturism and indigenous futurism tell us yes. Yes. There's a moment at the end of that first Black Panther movie that Adrienne Marie Brown wrote about in her blog, and which I think stuck with a lot of us who saw it. It's a moment at the end of the film, between the character Killmonger, played by Michael B. Jordan, and T'Challa, played by the late, great Chadwick Boseman. I think this moment points to why they didn't recast that part, right? Why they were like, it's time for a new Panther, we can't have a new T'Challa. Why they created a whole blockbuster superhero movie mourning the loss of this actor, right? And if you've seen this film, I bet you remember this scene. It's right after the big climactic moment. Killmonger and T'Challa just had their big climactic stabby fight in the literal Underground Railroad, right? Because we're not being subtle with our symbolisms. And Killmonger is fatally wounded, but in that really interesting cinematic way where you've got the weapon embedded in you and you can still stagger around and talk until you pull the weapon out, right? Very handy. And T'Challa, as Black Panther, has pulled Killmonger up to finally see one of the Wakandan sunsets that Killmonger's father told him about all those years ago when he was a child. Killmonger has spent his whole life killing and training to kill. Remember, there's this whole thing where he shows that he's covered in these brands, and each one is a person he has killed. And since arriving in this hidden utopia that he dreamed of since a child, he's been burning and murdering and creating conflict between beloveds, intentionally destabilizing the kingdom of Wakanda, right? He's been doing a lot of bad stuff, right? And yet still here on this ledge, watching the sunset, what does Chadwick Boseman say to this man? He says, maybe we can still heal you. Maybe we can still heal you. And Killmonger, and Eric Stevens, was a wounded man long before he got stabbed by T'Challa, right? He was cut off from his Wakandan family and all their resources and nurturing. He was raised without all of the art, the womanism or feminism, all the beauty and possibility of Wakandan culture. Chadwick Boseman, as T'Challa, looks at this man full of hate and vengeance and all the violence of America and says, maybe we can still heal you. So it's clear to me, right, why his Black Panther suit is one of the central pieces at the center of the new Afrofuturism exhibit opening at the Smithsonian this week, because we need to know that transformative justice is possible. That while the Killmonger character wasn't able to accept healing, that possibility is still there for us as a people, as a culture, for our children, and for us. The possibility of peace, not a negative peace that's an absence of conflict, but a positive peace that is love in action, joy and beauty and connection and abundance and healing. I look at the children of our congregation and community and nation, and I know they are miracles worth fighting for. that a future of real peace, like in that letter from the future Alexis, that possible future for them and for the generations to come is worth whatever bumpy, awkward road is ahead of us, is worth committing to the work of change, of love, of science fiction. We can believe this, beloveds. We can practice it being true.
I invite you now into our congregation's weekly practice of generosity. As you can see on the screen, there are many ways to give your gift to UUCSS. If you are here in person, you can also place your offerings in one of the offering plates as it's passed around during the music that will begin in just a moment. Life has given us so many gifts. May we know the joy of responding to that abundance with gratitude and generosity, two things that give human life meaning. The offering will now begin and be received with gratitude.
Go back to the roots, the motherland. Do not forget the children of Africa. All over the world, children are dying. We should go and support the children. The people who don't have it, who have nothing, they are lost, their mother and their father, the widows. We should go back home. I should be a teacher, a lawyer, musician. We should come together because we are all one people and go back home and support the children of the world. Fly my way home. Fly my way home. Fly my way home, Africa. Fly my way home. When my work is over, I'll fly my way home. When my work is over, fly my way home. Africa. Tu es bien paoué, pavé, ou mes frères, home, 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 sweet home Africa. Ebe kofia, sankofa, sankofa. Sangava, 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 Sangava. I'll fly my way home, 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 home.
Hi, I'm here to do the announcements. Oops, my name is Jean Snell. My pronouns are she, her, and I'm a member of the board here at UUCSS. Our church is not only the organization that puts together these services, we are a vibrant community of volunteers and staff, a member of the Unitarian Universalist Association, and a part of the global UU denomination. Today we have 5 announcements, so hold on. Next Sunday, everyone is invited to stay after the service for the first of 3 workshops to engage with our shared mission and vision. A light lunch will be served, and both childcare and ASL interpretation are provided. On April 1st, the following weekend, everyone is invited to join in a congregational field trip to see the Afro Futurism exhibit at the National Museum of African American History and Culture in the Smithsonian Mall. There are 42 tickets still left.
I wasn't sure how many, and 42 is the answer.
Okay. For 10:45 on Saturday, April 1st, if you'd like to join, please email Reverend Caitlin at AMSG. It's also on our website, and let her know you're coming. Are you meeting downtown?
We're going to meet at the museum.
Meet at the museum. All right, great. Third announcement. If you're new to UUCSS and interested in learning about becoming a member of our congregation or just learning more about our congregation, you can join us here that same day, I guess that's April 1st, for our next Pathways to Membership class. The class is from 9:30 to 12 in one of the classrooms downstairs in the sanctuary. And for more information, please RSVP to membership@uucss.org. Fourth announcement. And then we are going to have a service about Passover. I think this must be on April 2nd. And the opening of our Centering Art Gallery downstairs in this building. So bring your art that's been inspired by the values of generosity, pluralism, equity, transformation, interdependence, and justice. Anything from crayon doodles to fabric art and photography. And then final announcement, auction. The online auction is complete, but we hope that you'll stay after church today to participate in the live auction. To keep you going, there are sandwiches, chips, and soft drinks available for cash purchase in the community hall. We're going to begin the live auction around noon. Be sure that you get your auction bidder number sign. If you do not yet have it, you can see Maggie or Esther. I think there's still a table downstairs at the entrance, or Maggie, you're in the back? They're in the back in the sanctuary. The auction committee thanks the people who helped with the auction, and Emily, and Linda, you rock. Thank you, everybody.
Please join us in our chalice extinguishing words. carry the flame of peace and love until we meet again. And let us rise in body, voice, or spirit for our closing hymn, Wooya Ya. And thank you so much, musicians, for being with us today.
Some jewelry and other things for sale in the foyer after the ceremony.
So, dear ones, I look forward to seeing with many of you the exhibit at the museum in a couple of weeks on that Saturday morning, 10:45. I got 42 tickets because I didn't know how many to get, and I'm a Douglas Adams fan. The nerds amongst you are like, yeah. Dear ones, as you go out into this week, may you find ways to be present with the work of possibility, of healing. May you be part of the work of science fiction, of Afrofuturism. May you find ways to embody again and again that Black lives matter. Now our time together is ending, but our service continues. Go forward in the power of love, beloveds. May we make the world we dream of. And I believe we have one final piece of music to sink into.
Musankofa, 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 Musankofa. Musankofa, Musankofa, Murio. Musankofa, Musankofa. Musankofa, 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 Musankofa. Musankofa, Musankofa. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you, thank you. The name of the group's called Nana Frimpong Kantika, based in the Washington, Maryland here. It is home, as I said. Anytime you call me, Nana will show up because I love home. Thank you. Ima, picture, please. Yes, that's Ima, the drummer here. This is Ima. Welcome.
I am Amira L.
I'm BT Richardson.
I'm Salim Waters. Thank you for coming, and we will be back here again soon, hopefully, okay? All right.
And my name is Emmanuel. Thank you.
Nana Frimpong, thank you.